it's a ticket. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
Everybody to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. And I am here with our panel again this week to discuss what's going on in the world. And before we get started, as always, you can find us on Roku. If you have the Roku app or you have the streaming stick, simply add a channel and put in the letter N with the word power, and you will be hooked up to all of our great programming. Not only Head to Head, but we have Head to Head Sports. We have a comedy show. We've got some spiritual programming on there as well, with our friends at the DNA podcast, where they do their giving our testimonies and things like that. So great stuff on there as well. We also have a couple of short films and everything else going on. So a lot of things to find on our network, and we're still growing. So if you're watching this and you are a content provider, you have a show, you've got web series, anything like that going on, and you like places in addition to YouTube or Vimeo to air them, please reach out to us at theparkermedia@gmail.com. If you would like to become a sponsor, or you have a product, good, service, or event that you would like for us to promote for you, please again reach out to theparkermedia@gmail.com. We're also available on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search for Empower TV. Doing that will also let you know anytime we post anything to YouTube. The little bell should go off, letting you know that one of your subscriptions has done something new. So stay tuned. We're constantly posting things on YouTube as well. First and foremost, let's bring in our panel. We have Mr. Brad Carlton. How you doing, sir?
Hey, always a pleasure, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Jermaine as well. How you guys doing? Sorry,
doing well.
But I guess I got a reputation today. Today I had a good excuse. So Michael and Marvin stopped by, and I couldn't get them to leave. You know, they just
they did tell me
I'm gonna pay for that.
They did tell me that you were they were coming your way, and only if he could get back Bronxville in time, he would jump on.
Join.
So yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Well, at least I got one of you, so that's good.
Thank you.
Miss Kimberly Morrow, how you doing, man?
Hello, people.
All
shirt.
right.
Show us the shirt. What is the shirt? No.
Rosa Parks.
Got it. That's beautiful.
Yep.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And the pearls.
And the
First
pearls.
100 days, still keeping them accountable.
Gotcha.
And we also have Mr. Jermaine Parker. How you doing, sir?
Brother, I'm doing good tonight. Literally, brother, I'm doing good tonight.
Okay. Brother, you doing good tonight. So before we get started into some of the more serious topics, I do have to at least acknowledge that this past Sunday was a holiday. And if you don't know what that is, it was the Super Bowl. What y'all think about the Super Bowl?
I told you, didn't I say Tom Bradley was going to win? They were not going to let him go out a loser.
You did indeed. You know, it's eerie because we also have Head to Head Sports, and we wrapped up last night the 23rd show of the season, which is the final show before we hit preseason again next season. And before the show last week, I had pulled, you know, the young kids always talk about you got to bring your receipts and stuff like that. Because I kept telling people I picked Super Bowl, from September. So I actually pulled the tape, pulled the September the 9th episode, the very first one we did, before any down had been played, anything, and literally said that it was going to be Kansas City and Tampa Bay, because you always do your preseason picks, rookie of the year, all that kind of stuff. We all missed rookie of the year. One of them said Edwards-Helaire because he started out so good in Kansas City, and then they stopped running the ball for whatever reason. But I literally called Kansas City and Tampa Bay for the win, and it actually worked out exactly that way. Now, I had no way of knowing back then that they were going to have to see the up and down season that they had, but it was very interesting that their turning point in their season was the game where Tyreek Hill decided to do a backflip into the end zone on his way to like 269 yards receiving. After that, Tampa didn't lose another game. Of course, they had their
right. So technically, for the record, it was after the Rams beat them in Tampa that they went on their winning streak. But okay, carry on.
How'd that work out with the Rams?
I'm sorry. I always have to interject the Rams. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I hear you, but I don't know how that helped the Rams. Let's see, they lost the quarterback. they got another.
Okay, we can carry on, Brian.
Oh, okay. You just wanted that little footnote. You didn't want to talk about the. I got you.
Right.
I read too much into your point. I'm sorry.
No.
Let's talk about Russell Wilson. I hope he goes to the Panthers because they're thinking he's going to get traded or want to get traded or,
Where the hell is this coming from? Seattle would be, they would be.
I've been hearing this like in the last half of a day that Wilson may be on the trade block.
Yes.
Now, I actually understand why. You don't sit there and sell a car when it's got a whole lot of mileage on it and the Carfax report, it looks really, really bad because there's been a lot of wrecks and accidents. If you want any value whatsoever, yeah, you kind of go ahead and get rid of it before you have to start taking 5th and 6th round picks for it or compensatory picks. So I get it. And because the team is not going to get any better, it needs a whole lot of things if they're going to get better. So is this, number one, would it be fair to send Russell to a team where they can be more competitive? Yeah. You owe him that if you know that you're going to end up blowing everything up and rebuilding, and you don't want to put him through that. Because normally when you rebuild, and what that means is your offensive line is probably going to be Swiss cheese, aka Mike Rimmers. And he already has to run a lot as it is just to elude and evade and get the ball down the field. So they got a couple of young pieces with Metcalf. Oh, I'm sorry, I got timeout. What's up?
Bro, they hosted a playoff game this year.
I get that.
They hosted a playoff. They had a successful season, somewhat successful. Of course, the Rams came on the road again and beat them, but they had a successful season. They won the division.
I think you're making my point. Is when you're a successful franchise, is just making, look, if this was Carolina, yeah, that would be stupid because we would be satisfied with just going to the playoffs. If this was the New York Jets, yeah, going to the playoffs? Oh, wow, playoffs? That'd be great. But when you're Seattle, when you're Pittsburgh, when you're Dallas, that ain't enough going to the first round of the playoffs and saying, hello, we made it. Good to see you again. Nobody cares about that. They want to be able to go deep into the playoffs. Is that team, the way it's currently constructed, built to go deep into the playoffs? No, it isn't. They got too many good holes.
I think they're closer to their goal than they think. I mean, to blow up their team is ridiculous.
So you're saying they only need like one or two pieces and then they good?
They need a couple of pieces, but they're closer to their goal than they are farther away. You know what I mean?
But if there are a couple of pieces, keep in mind, salary cap is going to be smaller this year because of COVID.
Absolutely.
Your quarterback, typically, if your quarterback is 15, 16, 17% of your salary cap, you can normally work within that. Look at that. Oh, he's still there. You ain't get rid of him. You didn't get rid of him. He's still there.
I told you, he's still here. They're still here. You out?
You know, I should play Marvis's happy anniversary song that she left on my Marco Polo. It was very interesting, and you know, it's definitely not Whitney Houston, but she left us a nice little.
What it was. He's gonna ask her what it was.
It was like a cat, but it's all right. It was a cat in pain. We're gonna put him out of his misery. It was very painful. Oh, look, well, Jermaine's got one of his twins with him. Hello, Kyle Lauren. How are you?
Good. Oh. Hey, little cousins.
Oh my.
How are you, little cousins?
Good. Oh wow. Look at that one. That's my niecey right there. Yes,
Daddy's little girl, right?
One of them. I'm sure the other one who's probably going to start to feel neglected, but she's probably eating. That's why she's not on. Am I right?
She's right here. She's right here. Come here.
Oh, hey, Kennedy. Kennedy.
Oh, she got to do it here. I'm sorry. She ain't ready for prime time.
Oh, okay. I see.
How old are your daughters, man?
This is my oldest, Kyle Lauren, and then I have Miss Kennedy London. She's 10 years old.
Oh wow. How lucky are you, bro? Beautiful.
Brad, they tall, man. Them's the tall girls.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Ken, how tall are you? 5'4".
5'4". She's 10.
At 10?
Yeah.
No, actually, she's taller than that now. I think she's around 5'6".
Wow. That's what I thought because she's right up against Lori. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. At 10 years old. Gonna be 11 till what, June? So yeah. Wow.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so I kind of get why they may be doing it. There's a whole lot of quarterbacks that are going to be moving, and of course everybody's on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Even though Houston refuses to admit that they are going to trade him, they act like they're not. And there she goes.
That's beautiful.
Hey, Kenny.
That's cool.
Oh my goodness. Yes, they are. Yeah, you better watch them though. I'm sure Daddy has a long gun, so don't get no ideas.
Those girl dads don't
That's
play
right.
that.
Don't tread on my daughters, or you're gonna be treading to the grave.
Oh, that's the baby too? Forget it. Oh, forget it.
Yeah. It's a wrap. But yeah, this is the NFL. You know, the main thing I got out of the Super Bowl was this. It happened. It happened on time. The NFL, I gave them all the credit in the world because for everything going on with the pandemic, and they did have a couple of outbreaks and things like that, but they were always right on top of it, and they made sure that the season went forward without it having any kind of an asterisk, in my opinion, to it. So, and that does not happen that easily when, you know, the NBA, you've got about 15 players on the team and a handful of coaches. A 53-man roster plus assistant coaches and all other kinds of staff and everything else. You're not in a bubble down in Disney.
Right. Out in the community.
And to still be able to pull that off, other than a Washington football team quarterback trying to make it rain at a strip club and some other little stupid things with quarterbacks. All your quarterbacks are in their meeting not wearing masks, and the NFL won't let you delay your game.
Punt returner. Your punt returner has to start at quarterback. I think that was Denver.
That was Denver, definitely.
Right.
And for the first time in NFL history, we had a game on every single day of the week. Not in the same week, but every single day did have a game this year. even through all of that, though, we came down to the final game. For the first 2 minutes, it was a very good game. And then it was pretty much done. We pretty much saw what I saw before the preseason, was that Tampa had a pretty good defense. Now, they were MIA a lot of the games this year. I don't really know what happened with that. But the defense that I envisioned with Sue and JPP and Devontae and all those guys on that defensive line started to gel a lot more. Now, it doesn't help when Mike Remmers is on the other side. I always give Mike Remmers a hard time. That name sounds familiar. He played in another Super Bowl where old Cam Newton was his quarterback, and Dumerville and Von Miller were on the other side just licking their chops for Mike Remmers. And they ran through him a couple of times, knocked Mr. Newton to the ground, made him fumble the ball, and the rest is history.
Yep.
There's been girls who came to a kegger at a fraternity that have been ran through lists. It was disgusting.
Oh, wow.
Well, the Super Bowl is going to be here in Los Angeles next year, so it'd be great if the Rams or the Chargers end up.
You know, this was the first year that a team played in the Super Bowl in their own stadium,
right.
And it took 55 of them for that to happen.
Right.
Let me go ahead and go on the record in February. That ain't gonna happen next year.
Watch your mouth, Brian. Watch your mouth. It's going to happen back to back.
Matthew, oh God, Matthew Stafford is not taking you to the Super Bowl next year.
He's good enough to take us there.
Now, I got the receipt. This will be the receipts, though. So if I'm wrong, I will not somehow lose this footage. I'll pull it back up and play it and say, you know, Brad, I was totally wrong. I underestimated your guys, but let's just be clear. That shovel ain't coming out. I'm not digging that up because that ain't going to happen.
Well, Brian, that'll be great for your show to come out here and do head-to-head sports here in Los Angeles. Super Bowl weekend.
If I could get like some media credentials and actually be like a real media personality.
Yes.
Maybe interview some guys on Media Row.
That's right. Go ahead, start working on that.
Actually, I am. That's a great idea, and definitely we'll look to do some of that so that we can do some more on-field reporting and stuff like that. That would be great.
Well, I know it's not the sports show, but you know, kudos to the two coaches, two coordinators.
Yeah.
For Tampa. I don't even remember their names, but
you got Byron Leftwich and you got Bowles.
Right.
Todd Bowles.
That's right. Great job by both of them.
Todd Bowles was a coach with the Jets.
No patience. They couldn't wait for him.
But his background has always been defense. And when you've got Donovan Sue and you got Jason Pierre-Paul holding down your defense, I mean, you got something to work with. Now, Jets didn't really have a bad defense. They just, Darnold just had too many different coaches, and he's got another one this year. So you need to just get rid of him and give him an opportunity to grow somewhere else. And that was the whole thing that I was more impressed with this particular Super Bowl. And it does solidify to me, as painful as it is to say in a lot of ways, that Tom Brady is the GOAT. And that conversation, that door has been shut.
On, Brian.
You want to talk about number two? Go ahead.
No more Tom Brady, please.
It's down here in Carolina, we have an arch nemesis, which is called Duke. And as much as we are taught as Carolina fans to hate Duke, the one thing that I have to do is be able to be objective and say Duke is a good program that has a great coach, Krzyzewski. As much as we can't stand Duke, I have to give the man his credit for everything that he has done, because he's done more with less. He's the Bill Belichick, a lot of ways, of the ACC, because he gets guys that are not necessarily always the most athletically talented, and he gets the most out of them in college. A lot of them go on to the NBA, and you never see them again.
Well, Duke is
With
that
a few exceptions. You get an Elton Brand every now and then, and you get some guys like that. But Bobby Hurley and Christian Laettner wasn't nothing to talk about in the NBA.
You had to get them shots in there, didn't you?
But my point is that Coach K's job wasn't to prepare them for the NBA. His job was to make them great college stars, and he did.
right.
They were
Help
always
them
good in
great
college.
yeah, and help them to be great off the court as well. But the great thing about Duke and their program and everything is that when people beat Duke, regardless of the type of team that they have, winning or losing team, they feel more empowered just because they beat Duke.
That's true. When you beat Duke, that raises everything up for you.
It means something.
Yeah, what they always measure your RGI for you to be able to get into the tournament and what seed you're going to be and stuff, quality wins and things like that. Well, normally that's when you beat Duke, you beat Carolina, you beat Kentucky, a team like that jacks up your resume. Now this year we had Duke, Carolina, and for the first time in God knows how long, neither team was ranked.
I think the game was on Tuesday at 3 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah, it was pitiful. But the most important thing about that game is Carolina won. Oh, heels. But yeah. So my whole thing with Brady is that the question was always going to be, he was attached to the same person for 19 years, and the question was always going to be, who made that team go more? Was it the coach or was it the quarterback? And at least for this year, he kind of proved that he wasn't just a system quarterback, because he left that system that he'd been comfortable with for 19 years, came to a brand new system, had no offseason, had to learn new terminology, new playbook. Yeah, he had AB. Yeah, he had Gronk, players that he played with in the past, but he also had a bunch of other weapons: Cameron Brate, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Mike Evans.
Right.
He had all these other guys that did not know his style. He didn't know theirs, and he didn't have an offseason to go chuck it around with them because of obviously the pandemic. So to do that, and to do that at 43 years old, because I'm over 40, I'm going to root for the 40-year-old. Patrick Mahomes, you got years to sit there and rake up trophies. So don't worry about it. But let it be this man's year.
But not only that, you have to give Tampa Bay credit. They had a trifecta: a coach, a quarterback, and a great defensive team. Because that defensive team really shut Kansas City down and Mahomes down.
Well,
they did a great job.
The secret to beating Kansas City, there's three things that you really have to do to beat Kansas City, and they did all three. They pressured the quarterback and made him feel uncomfortable. They early on double teamed Tyreek Hill, again, receiver who stops at the 1 yard line and backflips into the end zone.
Right.
And then you have to jam Travis Kelce, who is unquestionably, please do not tell me Tyler Higbee is the best tight end in a. You ain't gonna say Tyler Higbee is the best.
No, but you didn't have to throw darts at us.
Well, I just know that you keep coming back with these Rams things, so I want to make sure that we all agree that see, now you got me saying it. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the NFL. Is that even questionable? And even though they jammed him as much as he did, he still had 10 catches for 133 yards. So what you do to a team is you take away the best option for them. The best option wasn't Travis Kelce, because he was just going to catch the ball in the middle of the field. And if your defense was worth their weight, they'll stop him right after the catch, so he didn't get a lot of yards after the catch. But if you let Tyreek Hill get loose on you,
you're in trouble.
It's over. So,
but I mean, Tampa benefited from doing what every defensive coordinator wants to do.
Yes.
Run 4 and 4 only.
Exactly.
The other 7 back in coverage, however you choose to do it, however you choose to set up that coverage, you double 1 or cover 3, whatever.
Right.
They were able to do that and Bro, they had him on the run the entire
The
game.
entire time.
That's
Yes.
right.
On the run. You
Yep.
know that song, A Brother on the Run?
Yeah.
He couldn't stand back and throw the ball at all. So
I
Exactly.
saw times when he threw the ball falling down, had no idea where that ball was going. I've never seen him that uncomposed because every time he took the ball, they were right there. And the one thing that I've been screaming about for Tampa to do all season, they finally started doing. The reason they weren't really working at first is because, yes, you got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but Tom Brady is not just a, throw it down the field quarterback. That wasn't his thing in New England. It was screens to James White, Amendola. It was throwing the Gronk on third down. It was a lot of screens and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't see that. They tried early with Fournette. He dropped the ball. They tried that early with Ronald Jones. He fumbled the ball. So I know that didn't help. But they started doing more screens. What they did was they used the run to set up the pass. Once you became a threat on the ground and you start taking that ball under center, now the defense doesn't know, do you still have the ball or did you hand it to your running back? And because your running back on this last play just got about 5 or 6 yards, we got to respect the fact that you may have handed him the ball. So when you do your little turnaround and you still got the ball, now you have bought your receivers time to get the ball downfield. And on third downs, 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s, he used Gronk across the middle or Cameron Brate across the middle, which is what you're supposed to do. So the game plan was beautiful, and Andy Reid and the Chiefs had no answer for it. So I was glad to see that happen.
I think Patrick Holmes is going to have the same concern as Russell Wilson, and that is they're getting hit too much. And we know what that can lead to eventually.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. When Russell Wilson first came out, I remember when he was at NC State before he transferred, that was the knock on him because he's only 5'10", and that's being generous. Normally, that's why they say the model quarterback was a 6'2" guy because you got to be able to see over defenses. That's why Drew Brees is a freaking anomaly because he's 6 foot generously. Normally out in stockings, probably not, but in cleats, he probably just makes it over that. And the fact that I've seen Drew Brees all his career throw on his tiptoes just to be able to get the ball over. Defensive linemen can be 6'6", 6'7", and then they throw their arms up in the air and they can bat your balls down. So your quarterback has to have some height on him. So the fact that Russell Wilson not only has thrived in the NFL, but he's won a Super Bowl. He's won more than a Super Bowl. So, and he's had a lot of success in spite of his height. So, they're saying the same thing about Kyler Murray right now.
How many did they win? They won 1, or they won 1, could have won 2, or they won 2, could have won 3.
Jermaine, they've won 2, right?
Who's that?
Seattle. They won 2, right?
I guess so. I can't remember.
I thought they won 1, should have won 2, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm good either way. I hate Seattle, so that's fair.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. But I mean, you got to give it up to him. I think Wilson has done. He's done more than was expected, to be honest.
Oh
with
yeah.
You. Definitely has. I was trying to pull it up real quick to tell you who won it, but yeah.
Well, while you do that, I need to put in a plug for basketball. I hope that Steph and Seth Curry will end up at the Charlotte. Are they still the Bobcats or the Hornets?
Oh, they're the Hornets. Yeah.
I hope that both of them end up in Charlotte.
Interesting.
You think Golden State would get rid of Steph?
Nah.
Well, I think if they don't give him help, because they got to build the team back up with Clay, and then all of the rest they're gone with KD and all of that. And he's used to winning and all of that kind of stuff. And I think he's too old to sit there and try to teach. And, I think he's to the point that he's like on the downstroke. So him himself may say, okay, I in my last days, before you put this horse out to pasture, That I want to go back home and play for Charlotte. And then his brother shows up as well. That's just my dream. You know, a girl just can dream with her pearls on and dream. Just dream.
Well, and we're definitely not here to shoot down your dreams. Russell won one, but then he lost the second one. Oh yeah, remember, because they decided not to give Marshawn Lynch the freaking football.
Oh, absolutely.
That's right.
Should have won two.
Should have won two. Yeah.
Right.
Had
Right.
nothing to do
I was
with
rooting
Russell's
for
play.
him. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that hurt.
I remember
That hurt.
them being there, but yeah, it was because they decided to
hurt.
get cute at the
Yeah.
1 yard line.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember this play. Was this famous?
Oh yeah, it was famous. All right, yeah, it goes down in infamy. I mean, they lost by 4. They lost by 4 points, and they should have won by 3. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. They got cute at the 1 yard line. Instead of giving Marshawn Lynch the football, they decided to try to throw it, and then they got picked off in the end zone.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
That wasn't that Stephon Gilmore that caught it?
Yes, it
They
was.
got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a play pre-snap.
Right.
Did
they all were
he run
surprised,
it
like,
back all the way?
huh?
Did he run it back all the way? He didn't run it back all the way. Okay.
Nah.
He downed
He
it.
just intercepted it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just sit down in victory.
Yeah.
All the way. You just sit down in your victory.
Yeah. No, I'm Jim, I would love to see Steph and I guess Seth. I mean, Seth plays well, okay. He's not the most lauded brother, but I mean, he's good in his own right. But
He's actually in his own category right now. He's actually shooting 50% from the field. 50%.
Yeah, he's killing.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
killing.
And 100% from the free throw line.
He is killing. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
and
I mean,
they have the Curry legacy. I guess see Curry on a Hornets jersey again. That would be pretty impressive. That would be interesting.
Yes.
yeah, but I'll be honest with you, man. The Hornets, we won 3 games in a row. Melo was out here balling and stuff. We could take Steph, but Steph, that was 2 seasons ago. We a whole different team now. We ain't gonna room Steph.
Oh, he was on the Hornets?
The Hornets are up and down though. I mean, they are. 1 minute they'll beat
Nah,
Dallas, the next
it's on the
minute
up.
they'll lose.
It's on the up. It's on the up, and we have a certain caliber player that we allowed to put on Hornets jerseys now, and the younger brother just ain't going. I mean, it's nice. I mean, maybe we do a 10-day. I don't know.
Yeah, and
I'll
Michael
take a
Jordan
look.
has promised the city that he will have a championship team.
Jermaine, I guess you can say that now that they got rid of Batum and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I guess you can say that a little bit now. But we still do have Cody Zeller.
Hey, he threw a hammer down on Giannis.
He did. But did he do it right when Giannis was looking at him, or did he catch him off to the side?
Nah, yeah. Giannis tried to block that thing. He gave him the Frank the Tank.
Oh, God. No, I think one of the best things that they did was that they actually struck gold by going to Boston and getting Hayward.
Yeah,
that was a good move. That was a good move for them. They got Gordon
It
Hayward.
was. I remember that weekend. We were looking at it pretty close because the Knicks had some rumors that we were going to snag him. And then you guys got him. So I like the way Jermaine is he stuck his chest out when he started talking about it.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that when mentioning the Charlotte Hornets.
We've won 3 in a row. He hasn't been that excited this whole show. He said,
I ain't never seen nobody do that. No,
so when you play my Knicks again, we're going to have to put a little something on it. You know what I mean? Put some cheese on that game.
Yeah, say it with your chest.
Knicks are on the way up.
Just because it's the Knicks, I don't care how much money it is. It's coming back to me. It's like if you love somebody, you let them go.
Yeah.
I got no words, man. I got no words. We
maybe next year, but probably not. But and then the NBA, I don't know what they're thinking right now, but they're actually going to hold the All-Star game, from what I'm hearing, in Atlanta, which is different. The NFL didn't hold a Pro Bowl, which for them that could actually be more realistic because it's at the end of the season. It does not feature your Super Bowl folks. It does not feature all of your, well, it does feature all of your best talent outside of your Super Bowl guys, but it's at the end of the season. The NBA's All-Star game always happens in mid-season. There are games to be played after. You're not going to be in a bubble. You got all of your best players in one spot to basically play in a game that means nothing for the season, that has no signs of defense whatsoever, just turns into the second slam dunk contest. So I don't really even understand what the NBA is thinking about right now. Adam Silver's been doing pretty well with the NBA's moves this year, but the All-Star game honestly has me scratching my head just a little bit.
Well, he got off the phone with Joe Biden and he found out we had 200 million more COVID vaccines that he acquired. So he's like throwing and popping and stuff.
And the CDC is down there in Atlanta, so they just gonna make sure everybody gets stuck. Now, they might stick them with the vaccines, but you know, you got all these young bucks down there gonna be sticking other things. So they gotta be careful with that.
Well, that's what I mean. You cancel All-Star break, and I think they're just afraid of what black folks going to do if they can. I mean, that's also a holiday. You know what I mean? That's what I can't stand the All-Star game, but you know, it's a holiday.
Well, you're right, especially having it in Black Atlanta. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right. Having it ain't like you having it in Des Moines, Iowa.
The streetwalkers would be leading that riot. You know what I mean?
Right.
They put a lot of money into this weekend.
Well, they got a union. They got representation.
Well, one thing about Atlanta, that's a city that you really can get your hustle on. I lived in Atlanta for 6 years. Yeah. That is one city that you really can get your hustle on. So, but yeah you're right.
And to put it into a political standpoint, it is still a red state because of the governor, even though they just lost 2 Senate seats. So what that normally means, though, is that restrictions will be a lot more favorable anyway. Same reason down in Florida, that being a red state, restrictions, i.e. Tom Brady throwing the Lombardi trophy from one boat to another boat and closely around other people, no mask, no nothing. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, just having all your best players in one spot, that seems a little crazy, seems a little risky for no reason, because because you don't really get it's not like you get any kind of home advantage or anything like that if you're on the All-Star team and your team wins or anything like that. It's more bragging rights, and I know it comes down to money. I mean, I'm not, that
money, bro. It's money for the league.
I know it's money. I know it's money.
Yeah. Money for the city.
I know it's money.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe it could even be contractual that if you pull it from Atlanta, you probably got to pay them something anyway.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I know that there's a lot of jobs that get taken care of because of that. Of course, your restaurants, your hotels, pop-up shops, parties, all kinds of venues.
Everything.
It does damage the economy when something that big, but you got to remember, it's still is COVID-19 and there's some, variants and everything else out there. So hopefully they'll figure out how to do it in a safe way.
And that South African variant is not playing with anyone.
It never is. South Africans don't play.
It's not responding to your medications. It's not responding to your vaccines. It's not playing fair. It's straight from both of them. I mean,
is it the Nigerian version?
The Nigerian version of
why are you running? Why are you running?
Where do you go? Where do you go? No, you don't leave me. You don't leave me. Eddie.
And it might not be a COVID variant. It could be just a flu variant that they never had a vaccine for. Because you remember, people are still dying from the flu, and they got all those variants out there that they never had a vaccine for, and they just labeling and calling everything COVID because it's easier that way.
Yeah.
Well, I did get my first shot of the vaccine this week.
All right.
I'm good. Waiting for the next one.
There you go.
Now, Jermaine, is it required that you have one, that you have to take one?
It wasn't required, but it was available. You know what I mean? It was available because of the work I do. It was available. So I took advantage of it and went and did it. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's not required for me right now. I was waiting for Brad to get his, and since he's doing it, mine.
The arm didn't fall off yet. Right.
Yeah, I'll give it a little bit, but yeah, I can get mine. But no, it's not required. I'm not really sure if there's any place that's really requiring people to take the shots.
Right.
I think most people are just choosing to. And it's like I said last show, I'm definitely not a anti-vaxxer and stuff. I believe in the science and stuff. For me, it was a little soon. We're still trying to get the water in Flint right, and came out with a vaccine. So I was a little, I'll wait.
And there's some promise on the horizon that Johnson and Johnson's gets put out there, and then there's some other ones that they're talking about where they are one shot, where you don't have to do a two-step. Say, Jay?
I'm waiting for the chewable.
Me too. You put it in some gummy bears for me, and I know I got it, then I'm good. Yeah, exactly.
It's coming, Brad. Brad, it's coming.
It's my man.
Yeah. For you know it, you gonna kiss your kids before you go to school and say, "Did you take your COVID pill?"
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Girl, come back in and get that COVID.
You better get that COVID.
Well, they add a little bit of cannabis to it. It may just work some more wonders with that.
Well, now then you'll have people saying, "I think I got COVID."
Oh, that's that NyQuil mix
Why
right
I said that? I said that because that's the only way that the Black, African American, and Latino community is going to.
Oh Lord, please don't say that, because now I'm gonna have to punch a white person and say if you stick it in some watermelon, then you can get all the black folks vaccinated. I'm just waiting for white people. I know you watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Do not, and I mean do not, walk up to a black person and say, I bet you if I put this vaccine in some watermelon or some Roscoe's chicken, you'll be vaccinated.
I would. Yeah.
Even though.
I would have some.
Damn the stereotypes. I love watermelon. Love it to death.
Yeah. Can you fry the vaccine? You can fry the vaccine.
With
a side of fries? Yeah.
What about putting it in a pipe and smoking it?
Only because I don't smoke, but
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we smoke cigars. If you put it in a cigar and you pull it right, that would actually be pretty good. Yeah, have a nice little, glass of brandy to go with it, cognac. Joe Biden, we done gave you all the different ways. Anthony Fauci, we done told you how to get black folks vaccinated. I want you to enable your Defensive Production Act and get vaccine and watermelon and Roscoe's chicken and waffles.
And be able to put it in a pipe and smoke it.
Or put it in the pipe and smoke it.
Yeah.
So I think I've covered all of the stereotypes, and white people again. This was just a joke. This was just a segment where we were just being funny, but you cannot use those same jokes, or you get your ass whooped. So anyway,
I don't know how much of a joke it was. A couple of years ago, I was on the phone. I stopped by the grocery store to get something to eat and stuff, and I said, "Well, I gotta get a meat." And then I want to get vegetable stuff or some fresh fruit and stuff. So on the phone with my friend, I get up to the checkout stuff. And I say, you know what? I don't pick the fried chicken and watermelon. And she said, well, why don't you just go ahead and get a 40 and make it
And so I guess my question is that did you get an Old English or did you get a King Cobra?
Nah, that's kind of shame. I put the chicken back because the watermelon was fresh.
As you slid into your Cadillac outside, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, yeah.
Wearing your Adidas tracksuit.
No, they had these though.
And your Kango.
We'll rock a Kango.
Hey, I'll rock a Kango in a minute myself, though. Yeah, white people, we're just playing the stereotypes of things, and this is not for you to actually go back to your wife and say, darling, do you know what they said on Head to Head? So anyway, yeah, that would be great. So I'm glad that, I did see, Jermaine, in the news where we wrapped up another 200 million doses. That's good. It does look like the Biden administration is doing everything that they can to vaccinate people, including opening up all 32 NFL stadiums. And I have seen Carolina Stadium, Bank of America Stadium, open to people to get vaccines. I've seen some long lines, people in cars. So people are trying to get vaccinated. That is a great thing. That's going to be the only way that we can start to get back to some sense of normalcy. Main thing is try to get kids back in schools, teachers feeling comfortable being around kids. You know, you already scared to catch cold from kids. If anybody got little kids, know you gonna get whatever they get because they bring it home to you, and they don't even let you know that they got something. They just start sneezing all on you, laying on you like Jermaine's girls was, and got all kind of sinus infections and everything else, and just gonna give it all over to you. That was before COVID. So yes, if we can get everybody vaccinated, we can get the kids back in school. Then a lot of parents don't have to. They can give up their teacher jobs and go and do their real jobs and stuff like that. So we're talking about trying to get the economy back up. I would appreciate that with my Robinhood app. I would like some of my stocks to actually start to go in the right direction. So if we can get people to go back to work, we greatly appreciate that.
Yes, I think they should come up with something that you can self-vaccinate. Send it through the mail, just like people who with diabetes. If you can self-vaccinate, and then some of these school nurses, if you open the schools back up and allow some of these school nurses to vaccinate the kids by the parents' permission and bring the kids there to the school, parents bring the kids there to the school, a lot of these school nurses and healthcare professionals can help with the vaccine as well.
That's true. That's true.
Unfortunately, school nurses don't even give out Tylenol anymore.
Right.
The school nurses that we grew up with, but
Right.
sentiment behind it and stuff. But I think that the administration is opening up. I think they're going to be shipping vaccines to CVS and Walgreens and all these other stores and stuff. So they're doing what they acquired a vaccine. They have a distribution plan now.
Right.
A lot of people are with some guidance from the federal government. They're like, hey, go ahead and get that first shot out. You know, they were saving a lot of their shots for the second round stuff. Well, what are we going to do in a couple of weeks? Because we don't know. And they're saying, hey, trust us. Just go ahead and give people the vaccine. We'll get second doses and stuff.
Right.
And they came up big with the numbers and stuff. So, you know,
well, because the previous administration did not really have a plan. The goal was
What do you mean? Wait. What do you mean they didn't have a plan? Like how? What do you mean? Be clear. What do you mean they didn't have a plan?
There was no logistics. There was no plan of getting shots in people's arms. It was just simply to say, hey, we're rounding the corner. It's going to magically disappear. That is not a plan. We're going to be all open by Easter. It's only 17 people. It'll be down to 0. That is not a plan.
I think to be fair, they did have a plan. They did talk to the military about distributing the vaccine and stuff and bringing it over and stuff. It wasn't a great or detailed plan.
Right.
Sort of like when my girls tell me they've done their work, and they it's not that they didn't do it; they just didn't do it well.
Right.
The administration they did have a plan, and I think it's a misnomer to say that they didn't. They did have a plan. It was just not a very useful plan.
They had a point person.
They did not have a comprehensive plan that would have ensured that 330 million people would have been effectively vaccinated in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right. And it was not an effective plan. You can say you have a plan, but how effective is it?
Yeah.
It wasn't written.
The Rams had a plan.
It didn't have primary, secondary, and tertiary forms of distribution throughout. So, no, they didn't have a well-written, comprehensive plan. They just did.
Hey, look, I'm gonna take up from Brad. Brad, I don't know if you heard that shot he took talking about the Rams had a plan. He took a shot at you while you were talking. I know it was cold, man.
Oh.
Look at him. You can't even look at him. You can't even deny it.
And I'm totally defenseless. I'm totally defenseless. I'm always protected. Defenseless.
Yes, sir.
Now, if I find out I'm gonna ask Mona, but if I find out if you sleeping with that at night, we're gonna have another head-to-head show.
I'm always protected, Brian. You know, some guys always carry their knife or their gun. I always carry something Rams related. Always.
Mm.
So
that keeps you protected because when people get ready to do something to you, they look, they laugh, and they just run away.
Look, I'm in New York. I'm surrounded by the enemy. I'm surrounded by Jets and Giants fans. You know, so.
But they can't say nothing neither.
Well, no, that's true.
I mean, birds of a feather flock together.
They're the worst. They're the worst humans walking the earth. It's New York Giant fans.
Yeah. Only thing New York got going for it right now is the Yankees.
Yeah. So speaking of the worst on the earth,
let's
the
move
reason
on.
I make the distinction. Yeah, the reason I made the distinction with the worst humans walking on earth about having a plan and stuff is because you know, we have the Senate trial right now for
impeachment.
And
what's
is that going on?
I refuse to say it out loud because I don't have
right.
to. That dude. So you know, they talk about that dude and stuff.
Orange Julius.
And so people. It's funny. I was actually at my other job, my uniform job, yesterday, and they had a TV going and stuff, and I heard one guy talk about they trying to blame that on him, and that wasn't his fault and stuff, and so it's nuance in the way that we say things because people are bringing out their lawyer degrees and stuff and going, well, you say he didn't have a plan, but he had a plan. Well, it sucked, but it still was a plan, and the same thing was going on with the Senate trial and stuff. Well, he can see his First Amendment rights. He can say whatever he wants. Yeah, but we've already argued that you can't say fire in a crowded room and stuff. There's certain limitations to the things that you can say, and the only reason he was allowed to say as much as he said for as long as he said it was because of his platform.
Right.
Nobody else would have been afforded that kind of luxury to keep talking that kind of craziness. So you know, just. You know, I know we're talking. I hate the guy that brought him up too.
Well, I don't because I was going to segue into it anyway. You just found a better off ramp than I did. So let's keep the foot on the gas with that while we got a few minutes left. Yes, there is a trial going on. Jermaine, you are absolutely right. You know, I heard the defense attorneys the other day, and you can tell, boy, they are out of their depth. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because you're watching it's almost like watching well, you know what? I've seen more suspense in Law and Order. I was going to say it's almost like watching Law and Order and you know what's going to happen. A lot of times you don't, but you know what's going to happen in this one. Now, you don't know what's going to happen in the middle of the story, but you know what's going to be on the last page, which is an acquittal. Of this particular book. There's going to be other books to be written as far as what happens next now that Georgia has opened up an investigation, and we'll talk about that. That's going to be a whole lot more going on with that. That is going to be more on facts and actually being presented. This is a political situation. Let's not forget. This is something that I feared and pretty much knew was going to happen, is saying that just because Orange Julius is no longer at 1600 Pennsylvania, his cult is still going to be there. Their handprint is still going to be all over that party. They will not break away because they understand that his supporters, for the most part, are their base. And he has the ability, whether he's in Mar-a-Lago, whether he's in Washington, whether he's in New York, he still has the ability to convince those people to primary. His word goes a long way in that base. So they're banking on the fact that, yeah, I know you almost got us killed, but and as much as we really hate you, because they do, we cannot afford. Some of them do. We cannot afford to do that.
I kind of liken this to the 70s, man, and you know, 50s, 60s, 40s. You know, it was impossible to convict Klansmen of something they did.
Right.
Even if they confessed to the actual act that they did, they were always get acquitted because the jury and the judge
were their peers.
And so this kind of comes back to this trial stuff. You got Republicans who were carrying his water for him, and you can't. It's against your self-interest to convict him because then you set up your own, because you were saying the same stuff. You set up the basis for your own kind of
right
or censorship and stuff because Everybody's just the different degrees of how far they went with it, but really and truly, it's hard to have a jury of not just your peers but your co-conspirators and think that it's partial. But if you listen to any part of it and stuff, anybody who can listen to it, and most reporting says that most Republicans are they have their heads down, they're not paying attention.
Right.
They're looking away, just like my children do when they're lying to me and stuff, or when they've done something wrong, they can't face it, so they'll look away from it and pretend they don't hear it, or they can't see it. But if anybody with a conscience has looked at some of this stuff that's come out, especially figuring out how close they really were to danger with the internal security footage and stuff, showing where they were, showing, and I can't think of the young brother's name, the black officer.
Goodman.
Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
My apologies, but Mr. Goodman.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you, man, and helping out Romney and other senators. Really, I mean, we knew that he had led some riders on a wild goose chase to get them away, with how close they really were, and how instrumental he really was in keeping them safe. Which is the context of America and stuff, is that when white people get out of hand, let a black man save them. But it's one of those things, though, that I'd like to say is that I'd hate to say this a foregone conclusion that we need to put the pressure on them and say, hey, look, white, how can you look at this and say different?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You see the hypocrisy of the whole thing. And it just reminds me, I was saying to Mona the other night that, look, all we ever needed to know, we learned in kindergarten, right? This is the schoolyard playing out as 60 and 70-year-olds, right? You got a bully who, even though he's in the principal's office, he's got the entire playground on lock.
Sure.
They're afraid to say anything because they know he can still influence them from the principal's office,
Right.
That's a great
when
one.
he comes
I love
back
that.
to the playground, it's the same thing. They hate Donald Trump. They hate him. They hate what he's about. They hate his style, his personality. The rich people hate him because they know he's a fraud, but they're afraid to confront him. Mitch, I got a lot of respect for Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's saying, later for you, dude, you're a fraud.
Right.
So, because he really can't touch Mitt out in Utah.
No.
But he can probably put paws on everybody else. But just like any bully movie, once they stand up to him, they'll realize there's nothing there. Trump is such a phony. He's such a phony.
Yeah. Well, I think his defense team, the only concern they have is whether or not they're going to get paid. They're really not concerned about
which is probably why they got the ones that they got, because 2 or 3 days before the trial, they all said no. Now, I've got my suspicion that most of them left because they know if they went in claiming stuff that they know not to be true, could end up having them with some
personally liable.
Yeah,
right.
Where they could lose their ability to practice law.
That's right.
Right.
And he doesn't seem to have a problem, which is why he was having a problem with all these phony court proceedings, because they knew they could not lie.
Right.
If they went in there and lied, their exposure would be ridiculous. And there's no pardons he would have been able to do to keep them from losing their ability to practice law. That's why they could not go in there and argue any facts. A lot of times,
what did my man say? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My man said, these are words. The Constitution is full of words. That sounds like a straight Donald Trump explanation right there.
You got to be as vague. You got to be as vague as you can as a lawyer, or you will end up with some criminal liability, which is what Rudy is facing right now. They're trying to get his license.
Yeah, I said it, and I put it on Twitter today. I said, they always talk about the Constitution and constitutionality because they know that you haven't read it.
Exactly. What did I say on the shows, Brian? I encourage everybody to go and read the Constitution.
It's not a hard read. It really is.
Exactly.
No, it isn't.
Exactly. Go and read it for yourself. Know it for yourself.
Yeah. Stop letting people tell you what's in a book and read the book.
It's not an
Exactly.
incredibly big book either. It's not a big book. It's
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing wrong with you talking about, hey, what did you get out of the book? Well, I got this out of the book. I got this. Oh, I never thought about it that way. That's one thing.
right.
But for somebody just to basically give you their cliff notes on a book and you take that as beginning, middle, and end, that's crazy. But Jermaine,
Yeah.
you're right. That's what we do as a society. A lot of times we're very lazy. We let people tell us what to think because it's a lot easier than thinking for ourselves.
But the worst thing than that is someone trying to tell you about a book they've never read.
Well, that's just like some of the people that they found out that actually stormed the Capitol. A whole lot of them didn't even vote.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, why are you here?
Exactly.
You ain't
Well,
even
they
vote.
didn't, but you understand that the whole thing, that they didn't vote because they knew it was rigged, and they knew that it was going to come to this anyway, so there was no need to vote and stuff. They voted away. Trump is still president.
So instead of just going and doing the democratic process, they just went ahead and started strapping up because they knew it was going to come to that.
Yeah, sometimes I actually get that because sometimes when people start talking loud to me, I think to myself, we're not going to work this out. Go ahead and think about what the nuclear option is.
We're not going to see eye to eye, right?
We ain't going to work this out. Homeboy don't seem like he the conversation.
like we can just gonna break some bread, gather around the table, and kumbaya this out, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk my way out of this one, boss.
See,
And I think that's kind of how they felt. They're like, we're not going to vote our way out of this one because you have to. Republicans haven't really won the popular vote. It's actually been proven that they had to live on suppression and denial of votes and stuff because when it comes to the popular vote and the popular opinion,
right?
they're just not it. Yeah, and even when you see them, these what they got 48 in the Senate now. No, it's even now. They got 50.
Yeah, 50-50.
But like 48 of their senators represent like 22.
Right.
It's like it's an incredible amount that they don't represent, but they say they have this mandate. When you look at Democratic people and how many people they represent,
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous how many people they represent versus how many people the Republicans represent. And Republicans say, "Well, we're for people." Well, no, you're not fighting for all the people.
Right.
The other thing too is that you have to understand is that Republicans now have become a part of what made this popular. Is that they don't fight for all their constituents, the ones that voted for them.
Right.
Right.
They don't serve the office and stuff. They serve the 30% of people who actually voted for them. A lot of total population voted for them and stuff. And they're like, yeah, we should be able to do what we want because there's 30% of people. And nobody else in the real world will let 3 people out of 10 people tell them what they were going to do.
True.
Right.
Or,
Right.
But they know that those 30% keeps them in power. And that's, the squeaky wheel always get the grease. It don't mean that it's the best wheel. It just means that it's the one that you hear all the time. So that's what they're playing a lot of time is they're playing to their donors and they're playing to their base. And they understand, and I get that from a political standpoint because the only way that you can get back to office is you have to go through a primary first.
Yes.
And if you're not listening to your base and you're not listening to your donors, they will come up with a candidate. And you've seen, even watching this Bobbitt lady and Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you've ever heard them talk, you wonder how in the living hell could they actually be a representative of anything but aluminum foil. There is no knowledge that comes out of them. Listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene had these press conferences and the things that she said, you go, you can't even string a line of words together and make a coherent sentence. How did you beat somebody in a primary? Because it was a fringe primary. They will find people, even Tommy Tuberville. He got to the Senate.
Dumbass.
And oh my God, he's an idiot.
Yeah, but you got to remember, she's got over $100,000 in support since they took away her from the committees and everything.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Kim, because that is because people are selling certain things that are very, very funny to sell. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. She's saying, you canceled me. The elite is always practicing cancel culture. Now, don't let the fact that because Liz Cheney voted her conscience, that Matt Gaetz, who is from Florida, goes to Wyoming to try to cancel her. Don't look at the fact that Arizona censored Jeff Flake, Cindy McCain, and Governor Ducey. Don't look at the fact that Oklahoma is trying to censor Ben Sasse. Don't look at the fact that Illinois is trying to censor Kissinger. But they're against cancel culture.
Right.
They're not against cancel. They're not against cancel culture. They're against accountability.
Right.
And
Oh,
But they use the buzzword. They use the front of cancel culture, except for when they're trying to cancel somebody.
Well, you know, historically, white people were always taking a buzzword that black people came up with to try to make it into their own, and it always gets funky and shit. Did you see them doing the Macarena? Horrible.
I'm sorry. What segment were we going to call this? We talked about it during Super Bowl.
I'm sorry.
What was that segment?
He hates me.
He hates me. This was the segment of He Hates Me.
No, but seriously, this is an accountability issue. It is not a cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
Cancel culture was when people were making designer wear that mocked the features of black people, or called black children monkeys and stuff, and implied certain things, and we said we're not going to support that. We'll cancel that out. We'll cancel our support.
Yeah.
We're not talking about.
Right, but we have to admit we did fall into that trap of allowing them to tell us how ugly we are and the things that we have done with the cosmetics to make ourselves beautiful and to look more like them, especially the Black African-American female. But just like the visionaire Malcolm X said, who told you you were ugly? Who told you were ugly? You look at the Muslim women, they always have their hair covered because they have could never ever put those chemicals in their hair. The only person knows their hair texture, length, and color is their husband. That's why they keep themselves covered, all of that. And so we look at how we have been brainwashed. And let's talk about the chick accidentally, I guess, put the glue in her head, and the backlash and the talk, and she's getting more backlash and more heckling from her own race of people. So, we have to get a step away from being brainwashed ourselves. And as far as accountability, they have never, ever had a line. The line has always been for us and to keep us in place. And we're getting too uppity, and don't you cross that line, and don't you whatever. See, the line and accountability has always been for us, but never for them.
Well, I'm not going to defend anybody that put Gorilla Glue in the hair. I ain't gonna bash you, but you can't do no science projects with my kids because obviously you can't read. But as far
as came out okay.
Yeah, as far as being black and beautiful and stuff, you can't tell me I'm ugly. I'm 6'4", 220 pounds of chocolate loveliness. I believe that, Brad, with all my soul.
I hear you.
And his wife agrees, and that's the good thing. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to that comes from the home first, where you've got to be able to reinforce that. You can't let your kids have to seek out other folks outside of the home to co-sign on any of that stuff. We have to do a better job, especially with our girls, is to give them that confidence, because girls can be mean. They can actually sit there, they pick on each other about the length of their hair, how straight it is, how nappy it is. You got buckshots in the back of your head. A lot of girls that I went to high school with, a lot of them have come now to the conclusion that there's nothing wrong with going natural. Because they grew up with that lie that they had to always have a relaxer in their hair and stuff like that to give that white girl look, so to speak. And now a lot of them are embracing locks and embracing the natural look and stuff like that, and coming up with puffs and things like that. That's a big step for a lot of people. There's a process that's involved in that because they had to separate themselves from that lie.
Right, brainwashed. been
It's
brainwashed.
brainwashing.
Look
It
what
is.
happened to the Olympic champion, um, Gabby. And they talked about their hair. They talked, this girl, they up there winning the gold medal.
Yeah.
And what were they criticized for by their own people, Black African American females, was about their hair. About their hair. And I've met her in person, and she's a sweet, beautiful, little pint-sized girl. Yeah, so
I bet she's something I can put in my pocket. But you know, when you're a champion and stuff, you're always going to have criticism and stuff. And so I just don't believe that at championship levels and stuff. And it's just we have to define where our championship is right in our own lives. We're all champions for our own stuff. But I think that you're always going to have some kind of critique and stuff, and people are going to try to demean you for your features and stuff. And Brian, you remember Steve Harvey with King's Comedy and stuff, talking about, he used to talk about my big nose and my big lips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I can do with these big lips and stuff like that. It's always, we always gonna flip the narrative on and stuff like that. But my thing for the cancel culture stuff was that we're not talking about cancel culture and we're not talking about this other stuff. We're talking about accountability of our officials and the things that they say and they put out there and stuff. And, here was a woman who came up here saying, well, I hadn't said that stuff in at least 5 minutes. Surely I've changed and stuff. And that's the accountability that I'm talking about, is that it's not cancel culture. And the people, and it's just, my point was they were just hijacking a popular phrase and applying it to what they wanted to be. To explain away what was happening to them, because it's like, see, and it's the same thing as when people said, Blue Lives Matter, when we said Black Lives Matter and stuff. They were just hijacking a phrase in order to try to make something different.
Just like we had a Million Man March and then they had a Million MAGA March.
Yeah,
that wasn't a million people.
Right. Yeah.
Well, have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen the series Girlfriends? And then you, not Girlfriends, Living Single.
Right.
You ever seen the series Living Single and stuff? And then you watch the
Friends.
You'll see that ideas are great, and we know that because they will be copied and stole right from under us and stuff, and hide. And this is just one of those things.
Well, that's true, but I'm not gonna lie to you, Jermaine. I am really interested to see Whitish.
Now I would sit around with that. I'd watch that. I mean, I technically watch it every day, but
that's true. That's true. We do watch Whitish every day.
That's not a real thing, is it? Whitish is not a real thing, or is it?
But if they can capitalize on it, just look for it. It's coming.
Okay.
No, not yet.
It's coming.
But Kenya Barris may want to go ahead and copyright that before they get an idea. I'm just saying.
Exactly. But like they say, everybody have their own opinions, choices, beliefs, and ideologies. It's what you do with it. Yeah. It's what you do with it. So that's what we seeing being played out right before our eyes, is what are they doing with what they believe? And some have said, we believe that we were getting our orders from the president.
They absolutely believe that, because that's the reason they went there. They said it while they were there.
They said it. Mm-hmm.
You know the whitest thing that they did to that whole January 6th is after they got done, they walked away. There was the smoothest white move I've seen. All people dead, property damage, U.S. Capitol invaded and stuff.
He's on the floor.
Yeah, you know what? We don't have our fun. I think we don't made our point. Let's call Tony Promos.
Right.
Get your reservations. They made reservations and went to go get some to eat.
Yeah.
There's a scene in our movie about the Bronx. The gangsters in the Bronx. I forget the name of it right now, but there's a scene where he says, "Now you can't leave." Right? It was in the bar. They thought they were going to take over the bar, and then they closed the door and said, "Well, now you can't leave." So why didn't that happen? Where were the troops and the soldiers to come and say, "No, you can't walk away. We got you. We got all of you. All of you who are inside. Close the door. We're going to arrest all of you." Like, Where does the comeuppance happen? It didn't happen. And
Well,
Because they didn't have the power,
on
and then
bail,
some were on their
unaccountable.
side.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
who authorizes the National Guard for Washington, D.C.?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Yep. He sat on the king. He sat on the king.
There is
Yep.
currently no governor of Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's who authorizes your military.
They were on the phone with Maryland. They were
Exactly.
And Maryland said, we can't come
right.
until we get the go-ahead.
No, Maryland was saying, we're ready.
We're ready.
Right.
But
Give us
they
the green light, and we're there.
Yeah,
Right.
you got to hit the green light.
Right.
There was no green light.
Oh, man, this part here, everything that we've been told since we were in kindergarten and about the government and everything else, we're seeing it on display now. And now, it needs to happen. We need to see it happen in front of everyone, in front of the country.
The whole world.
We're not going to see the Constitution play out the way it's supposed to. This is exactly what this is impeachment right here.
Yeah.
This is impeachment.
Yeah. He's right. I'm gonna end it on that note, Brad, because you're absolutely right. Let me close out by thanking my guests this week, Kim, Jermaine, and Brad. You know, they're absolutely right. Jermaine hit it on the nose too. That what we're watching isn't any kind of cancel culture where right now the Trump's defense is, well, you guys have been trying to impeach him from the first day. Maxine Waters, Tlaib, Al Green have brought up articles of impeachment. We need to impeach him. And they're going to keep playing that over the next couple of days to almost try to present that we've tried to lay a groundwork for impeaching him. Now, whether or not that would be true or not is still disregarding the fact that was there a crime committed? And it's funny because we already know that because this is a political court and not a criminal court, that it is not about justice. It's about political expediency. We already know what the end is going to be, more than likely, but it doesn't mean that it was wrong for them to do this at all, because it is about being accountable. Even if you do something wrong, even in your last, if I'm at my job and the last 2 weeks I start doing fireable things, but I've already put in my notice, they probably ain't gonna let me work out my notice. I'm probably gonna get fired. I'm probably gonna get told, we're all right. You don't have to come back anymore. And that's basically what's happened here is that he had a notice and he figured he could go ahead and start doing some crazy stuff. And now people in his party are telling him, well, he's already gone, so just go ahead and let it go. It's time to move on. But you know who hasn't moved on? The Capitol Police that had to defend them. The ones that had over 140 injuries, the 2 that have committed suicide since then, the one that lost his life and his family. Are they supposed to move on? How do they move on without any accountability? This is why we keep constantly saying to you guys out there, you need to vote. You see where these folks will line up. We already know how the story's going to end, but it's going to be on record. If this is your senator that's not voting their conscience, you need to vote them out. You have the power to do that. Yes, they will not get an impeachment maybe this time, but they will be put on the record to let their true feelings be known. And if that's not how you feel about it, you need to make sure you vote them out. Again, let me thank my panel, Jermaine, Kim, Brad. As always, thank you for coming. We will see you guys next week when we probably will have a verdict to Orange Julius and in the impeachment trial. So y'all take care. We'll see you again soon.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda.